Let's talk about the best books that I've read so far in 2026. I have finished 36 books so far, which is kind of crazy. Also, I'm having my best reading year probably ever. I've found as many 5-star so far this year that I did last year throughout the whole year. I'm not complaining, so I'm going to do top 5 of the best ones fiction-wise and a few special mentions, and then I'll include like a top 3 non-fiction also because I've read also a ton. So let's get to it. The first book I gave 5-star to this year was also the first book I finished this year, and it was The Arc of the Caretaker. It is coming out 21st of April, so you can definitely pre-order it or just get it as soon as you can because this was amazing. If you enjoyed We Used to Live Here by the same author, you're going to also enjoy that one. I personally really like these kind of paranormal horror, like you don't sure if the person is losing it or if there are some like sci-fi elements. I'm not going to spoil anything. I did also vlog it, spoiler free if you want to see it, because I was losing my mind. In this one you follow the main character and she is very much broke. She is the sole guardian of her little sister and she's desperate to find a job but cannot find one. When she finds one on Craigslist, an announcement, someone is looking for a caretaker. It seems like an easy job and they are offering a lot of money. So she goes to the interview. Everything seems suspiciously easy to do. She's sent home with a cassette to watch to get all the rules, and again, she thinks she can do that, so she decides to do it, and things get very weird very quickly. I read it in 2 days, could not put it down, and it definitely made me feel uncomfortable. It has some like creepy moments. You don't know if the events are really happening, if the main character is losing their mind. Like I said, the book, I appreciate that there is an answer, even though it might not answer every question you have. So it is satisfying, and yeah, I can already tell you this is going to be popular. The next book I wanted to mention is also horror, although this one is also historical fiction. Another book I could not put down. You're following these two main characters. They're teenagers. One is 12, one is 16. And their mother passed away and their dad had to skip town because he is wanted. It is set in Florida in 1950, so you're also still feeling the effects of the Jim Crow laws in the South. And one day they're walking to school, the neighbor's boy decides to hit inappropriately on the 16-year-old girl, and her brother kicks him in a moment of rage, and he is sent in front of a judge and sent to the Reformatory for 6 months. So his older sister is trying to get him out as soon as possible. He's such a good kid. He's definitely not made to survive 6 months there. And as he is there, there are ghost stories being told. Is it true? Is it not? The effects of torturing the kids, and I'm gonna keep this kind of vague, but yes. He's trying to survive, she's trying to get him out. It's absolutely worth the hype, and I also don't see enough horror books being written by Black women, so definitely check that out. It was worth the hype for sure. On the other end of the spectrum, this one was just so much fun. Dance of Thieves. I read the Remnant Chronicles by the same author 8 years ago? 9 years ago in 2017, and this one came out the year after, and I bought it and then I never read it. I think it's considered YA, but I would call this adult romantasy, which I don't read a ton of. So over the years, it's been on my shelf for like 8 years. I looked at it, I was like, oh, what if it's not as good as I remember the other series being? Because it's technically part of the same world. You don't have to read the other trilogy, although I would recommend it. But I finally picked it up because the jar told me to, and 5-star. I spent the first half just giggling, kicking my feet, did not want to read it too fast because I didn't want it to end. And overall, throughout the story, things get a bit more serious, a bit more political intrigue happening. I can't wait to read book 2, but you have an enemies to lovers situation. The main character, she is sent to investigate some possible laws being broken. And then the male character's father just passed away, so he's now being responsible for his own people, and they get kidnapped by labor hunters and they escape. They are unfortunately chained together and have to walk back to civilization. So they have to work together, and you know, things happen. So yeah, love this. 5-star. Just great fun. Next one is definitely more serious, and it is The Underground Railroad, which that book won so many awards, including the Pulitzer Prize. So I had seen it going around, but I don't read a ton of historical fiction, and I had read actually another book by the author, which I had enjoyed, and then I finally saw it while used book shopping, so I picked it up, and I read it super quickly, which I feel like it probably is my main complaint, which doesn't really count as a complaint. It's 300 pages and I read it super quickly, but it's because I was so invested in the characters. I loved the writing, and even though I knew, like, obviously historical fiction, it is inspired by real-time events, I did like the way that he introduced some throughout the story. I also like that whenever we would switch point of view, we would go back a little in time to kind of bring back the context and see their opinion on how things happened, and It was great. Everyone was right. The hype was right. I love when that happens because I feel like sometimes a book is so popular and you're like, when I get to it, especially when it's not a genre you read a ton of, you end up being disappointed. Not the case at all. And now this is where I don't know what to do because these were the 4 books I gave 5-star to, and the rest are all 4-star, and they were all so good, and I don't know what to pick. Do I want to give it to another romantasy? This one is like a long love letter between these 2 female characters. Loved it. Is it my best one though? Or we have another book by Elif Shafak. I have read so many of her books at this point, and I'm going to keep doing it because she's so good. She always writes like literary fiction, very character driven. This character goes back to her father's family in Turkey, and she's trying to learn her history. It was great. Do I want to give it to Claire North, which I also had this book on my shelf for years, and it was so worth reading. I disagree with everyone giving it a low rating on Goodreads. You're following Charlie, who works for death. He's sent sometimes as a courtesy, sometimes as a warning before deaths come, and obviously not everyone's going to take that well. So this is more literary fiction, though. It's very slow paced, character driven, and I really enjoyed it. But I've decided, quick reviews, that I was going to give it to this one because, again, it was a book I could not put down and I had just a ton of fun reading. Not quite dead yet. So the following character, she's 27, which is probably my main complaint. She reads way younger, but she's very immature. She has been struggling, so she decided to move back to her family, smaller town, and she's always pushing back to later everything in life. She's, again, very negative and lost. And then on the night of Halloween, she goes back home in her parents' home and she is murdered, or almost. So she wakes up in the hospital and she has a head injury, and they tell her, you have a week left, it's gonna happen. So she decides to spend that week trying to figure out who murdered her. And I appreciated the way it was made because it didn't feel like it was like a million twists that you don't see coming, because sometimes it feels a little too forced, or you could definitely see the effects of her having that injury. Like, she wasn't someone that you can never sleep, it's not affecting you at all, which would not have been realistic. And I just like the way that everyone in that town definitely had secrets, and the way the things were put together. It was just really good. Obviously it's tragic, because it shouldn't be a surprise that she does die. I mean, that's literally the point of the book. But will she solve her murder before it happens? So she has that week, and yeah, read it super quickly. Highly recommend. It was fun. Now, nonfiction-wise, I also read a ton of really good ones, and it's so hard to choose favorite. I decided to go with these 3 because I really like them. The first one is Caliban and the Witch, which I bought this one because I thought it was about that part of history about burning witches, which, yeah, but not really. If I had known exactly what it was about, I don't think I would have picked it up, and I would have missed out on something fantastic. So this one is more about how we went from feudalism to capitalism. There's a bunch of years after the plague that happened that killed a bunch of people, and how it destabilized power, how they started privatizing land, and how they accumulated enough capital to start capitalism through enslavement in America, and how degradation of women also helped keep the masses controlled, and how that's when, you know, burning witches came into the explanation in the book. It's more academic level writing that I'm used to, but in a really good way. I really like this. I highly recommend this if you are interested. I also tried for the first time Naomi Klein as an author, and I read Doubleganger because the topics seemed interesting, but I didn't know much about it. I just had heard great things about her as a writer, so I tried it. Again, loved it. Basically, imagine that you are a journalist trying to write, you know, serious books, and then there's someone else online that is known having the same first name as you, that is known for their silly takes that get worse and worse over time, and that would be her story. So Naomi Klein, there's even this saying that has popped up online: Naomi Klein, it's fine. Naomi Wolf, oof. Which so Naomi Wolf, the author of The Beauty Myth, right? She used to be known as a feminist writer, and then over time she has fallen into the right-wing pipeline. She still claims to be a Democrat, but you know, she's on podcasts of full-on Yazis. So yeah, the book starts with that story, and then it goes deeper into other things, like how a lot of things change during COVID, and I just like the way her brain works, basically. A lot of the other books that she mentioned throughout the book are books I had read and loved, or I want to read, including her other book, The Shock Doctrine, which I have purchased and will be reading. So yeah, I just love her brain, the way she thinks, the way she writes. So fantastic, highly recommend. And then I decided to give a shout out also to Bullshit Jobs, because the book became a lot more serious than I thought it would be. It starts kind of fun, light. The author wrote this article about bullshit jobs. We all know those jobs, right? People in office, you're trying to explain what you're doing, but what are you really doing? Like, it seems like such a useless job. And he starts with that, explaining the details about it, and then the effects on people, right? It seems like, oh, jobs that have like moral standard, like, oh, if you're a teacher, you're underpaid, but like, why would you complain? Like, at least you do something positive in society, right? And then it goes into that mental anguish and like how it's divisive depending on the jobs that you have, and then talks about more, what are the effects of that on society? Like, who benefits from that? Anyway, it keeps going deeper and deeper into the topic, and I really liked it. Actually, it took me 3 times. The first 2 times I didn't go past like 20 pages, and then I read the whole thing in like 3 days. So loved it. So clearly it looks like this is going to be my best year ever. I hope you're ready for more recommendations. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know if you have read any of these. What were your thoughts? And if you want to also share your own quarterly favorites, I would love to hear them in the comment section. I'll put more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out, including the vlog where I was mentioning that I read The Caretaker. Again, it's spoiler free. You can just see me losing it. And if you want to see what I'm planning on reading for the next couple of months, I did a spring TBR. So I will see you then. Bye.